Afternoon, welcome back to F2T2. I'm Travis, and again, this is Connor. We are bringing you our next project, which has been our Phanteks Enthoo Evolv case that one of our clients had brought to us on a major fire sale purchase. When it was brought into us, it was in major disrepair. We had a broken side panel, missing I/O shield, and some major GPU sag.
And it was very, very dirty.
Very dirty.
Yeah.
Case in point being the glass panel being broken and shattered inside the case and having no ability to protect it from the outside element. On doing so, we reached out with Phanteks, and they no longer produce the case panel anymore. However, they did give us all the measurements, and the customer service was superb and on par. I would very highly recommend going back and reaching out to them again. In a second, we'll go over the specs, and Connor will touch base on that. But in doing so, our project has been a lot of fun, knowing the fabrication side of everything, having to cut panels, knowing what we can and can't do, going through a lot of material, as well as thinking outside the box on how to make a custom GPU support bracket without having to go out and get into it. Also, we have our new SSD, as the hard drive was missing, and then we had to, as said, procure a I/O panel because the manufacturer didn't have a spare.
No spares, had to go to eBay. Found an I/O shield and, like I say, built a custom GPU stanchion. So for the specs on this system, we're working with a Phanteks Enthoo Evolv case. It's a AMD Ryzen 7 1700X 8-core 16-thread CPU, 3.4 GHz base clock. We did not overclock the system. Pretty happy with it as is. Cooler on it is a Corsair H100 dual 120mm fans on that radiator. It's a Asus Prime X370 Pro motherboard, ATX form factor. We've got 16 gigs 2x8 of Corsair Vengeance RGB DDR4 3000 CAS16 RAM. Pretty adequate, pretty good baseline stuff for any Ryzen system. Asus Strix GTX 1070 gaming video card, and one of the products I've been really happy with lately, it's the second time I've used it, is an HP EX950 2TB NVMe SSD. Stellar performance out of it, almost on par with my 970 Evo that I've got in my system. And then a Thermaltake Smart 650 watt power supply. Unfortunately, not modular, did what we could despite that. So big focuses for this were cleaning, side panel, SSD installation, place the I/O shield in, GPU stanchion, and cable routing.
With the I/O shield, we had reached out to Asus, and they no longer had a spare part for us. They had us reach out to a third-party seller. Upon doing so, I purchased one from eBay from China, and as we know, all China parts are not
quite up to spec sometimes.
It was how far off on the ports?
Good millimeter.
A good millimeter. It was.
Yeah,
it didn't line up at all.
Size at all.
So then we went out and we expedited another product that matched up a lot easier and allowed us to put the I/O panel back in the back.
If I recall, I actually ordered that one from Norway.
I don't remember. Did it get here before mine?
Got here long before yours. Yes, it cost seven times as much, so 30 cents. And
I know, mine was free. Thank you, eBay, $5 gift card.
Yeah, works much better though, and everything was actually in the right position. All fits perfectly well. A little shocking because it is the exact same I/O shield for the X470 Pro Asus Prime board, and that's a current product. They didn't have any.
Shocking.
Interesting. So, but no harm, no foul now. Oh, and we also put 4 standby NZXT 120mm fans in here.
Did I put the fourth one in there?
Because we did have to move the H100 from the front to the top, personal preference, and we filled the front and the back with NZXT 120mm.
And
fans.
I forgot, takeaway point from the Phanteks side is the removable upper tray for this case.
Oh my god, made it so much
Being
easier.
able to mount the entire radiator assembly and fans to this one carriage that slides in and out and then mounts, so you don't have to constantly remove it from the case, tip the case, move everything around. You can actually put it on the removable bracket. It comes out when you need to adjust the motherboard, as we had to when we put the motherboard back in after we put the I/O shield in. life-saving, ingenious product plan. I don't know if they're the first ones to do it, but you know what?
Yeah.
On
so
par.
for the GPU stanchion,
Yes.
we were considering 3D printing one or using a wooden dowel. I ended up getting a little more creative. I went down to the local hardware store and found just a little 6-inch shank of 1032 threaded, whatever, shaft. And
It's called stock.
Stock, okay, yep, stock. And I put a little rubber bump stop on top that screws right on with a lock nut below that. Found some 3/16 internal diameter vacuum tube. Slid a length of that on there, put another nut down below and a washer and a little wing nut below, so I put that right through the the power supply shroud, and it's mounted quite securely there, holds the graphics card up in place much more.
What was it? What was our sag? Our total sag? Front to back?
Front to back, I want to say there's at least 7/32 of an inch.
Yeah,
And
it was
it's
very
still
noticeable.
sags, but there's much more support on the card now, so it's maybe 2 or 3/32 of an inch.
Which, in our next installment, we're actually going to be talking about a purchased GPU bracket. I had just most recently found the Lian Li
I think so.
bracket. It was on sale on Slick Deals. Couldn't pass it up, so I nabbed it. And when we built the panel, it took a while to get the dimensions just right because both Connor and I are a little particular on measurements. So going through and making sure that we were down to the right spacing, the right spec, and moving forward. So we did find it from a local hardware store, and I picked up a large sheet that we ended up cutting down. In our process, it didn't go well at first because I was using a skill saw. I learned a lot. We do know that we are going to up our production side, and we're looking at getting a couple of table-mounted skill saws as well as our own drill press to further move into other production materials for this, because this has become something that we've actually particularly enjoyed, and we look forward to doing it again in the future.
I'd like to get a little higher quality production value when I go forth and custom fab parts and panels in the
Absolutely.
future.
But again, I have to emphasize how much Phanteks gave me support and down to the millimeter spec on what the panel was, and their follow through and customer support is bar none. Like I very much look forward to working with them in the future.
It's incredible how large a millimeter is.
Phrasing.